Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon you. This is a new presentation from www.central-mosque.com and the Humble Heart YouTube channel. It is the 31st episode of the Making Sense series, and today we're going to explore why do Afghans and Taliban hate Pakistan and what is the solution. Before I come to my topic, there's a few things I want to talk about. So I grew up in the late 70s and 80s, and at that time, Soviet Union had invaded Afghanistan, and there millions of people, of Afghan people, were pouring into Pakistan, including in my school in Islamabad. There were many students, and there was a general, sense of gratitude in these people because Pakistan had committed, and in the early 80s, mid 80s, they were ramping up support for Afghanistan. Pakistan Army at that time, the president of Pakistan, General Ziaul Haq, had committed the Pakistan Army and the ISI in aiding the people of Afghanistan in ridding the Soviet invasion, and there was general gratitude about that. The I remember as a child many times, donating money at school or, in my Eid money and going to hospitals, looking at the atrocities the Soviets had committed to the children of Afghanistan, the people of Afghanistan, left scarring images in my mind. Maybe I shouldn't have been done by my school. However, that is the truth. There was no resentment in these Afghan children that were coming to my school. Uh, in fact, most of them at the beginning spoke no Urdu, no English whatsoever, but children learn languages very quickly, etc. And we got along absolutely fine. So that's my image, the rosy image from the 80s of the Afghan refugees coming into Pakistan. What I want to do is briefly touch on the complaints of the people of Pakistan towards Afghanistan. This is not the topic of my discussion, but I think it's pertinent to simply list them. What the people of Pakistan say, they say we provided aid to millions of people of Afghan, through whatever means necessary. We paid a huge price for that in terms of even terrorism. 70 to 80,000 people of Pakistan died because of terrorism as a direct result during the Soviet invasion and afterwards for decades. And people of Pakistan say, what did we end up with? We ended up with religious extremism. We ended up with terrorism, as I said. We ended up with a drugs problem. We ended up with a weapon culture. We ended up with crime and prostitution. And the most bitter thing that people of Pakistan say, constant international backstabbing by people of Afghanistan and organizations and institutions of Afghanistan against Pakistan, whether it comes to cricket or United Nations or whatever. These people are ungrateful. That's basically the gist of complaint of the people of Pakistan. Okay, again, we're not going to explore that in any great detail. Just want to put it out there. There is a very shallow understanding in Pakistan. They say India stoked these, so people of Pakistan admit that if not hate, there's genuine dislike between, from the people of Afghanistan towards Pakistan. So, and they say India created it. Indian agency RAW, it had many consulates, very close to the border of Pakistan in Afghani land, and they funded and they funded and created by pumping millions of dollars into this, and they stoked and inflamed the hatred of Afghan people towards Pakistan. That is a very shallow understanding. Let me tell you why. Because it is true, it is a fact. However, as I said, things can only be exploited and inflamed. If those feelings don't exist, then it cannot happen. Okay, it is simple as that. So there was something there which India exploited and inflamed. So we shouldn't look at it from that shallow perspective. What we want to do is now get to the rest of my presentation and actually listen to it from an Afghan perspective as what is the reasons for that. Number one, and it is a fact, and I'm sorry it's going to embarrass some people of Afghanistan or whatever, but when you speak to the people of Afghanistan, there's definitely parts of them or there's a genuine streak in them where they think they're racially superior to the people of Pakistan. They believe that they're fairer in skin color to the people of Pakistan, and they also believe that Afghanistan was not colonized versus Pakistan's were slaves and colonized, i.e. India was actually colonized and enslaved by the British. Nothing you can do about it, but we just need to be aware that that is a perspective in the people of Afghanistan. Moving on. When the British colonized India, they tried to separate the territory of Afghanistan from British India, and they created this arbitrary line called the Durand Line. The the priorities of the British government was different to the priorities of then Pakistan from 1947 to now. So this Durand Line, what it did is it's an arbitrary line, which means families got split up across the border, etc. And when Pakistan came into, Pakistan became independent, this Durand Line was accepted by Pakistan as an independent border. However, there were elements in Afghanistan, people of Afghanistan, governments of Afghanistan that never accepted it. And they believe that Afghanistan should extend to certain parts of Pakistan, or actually Afghanistan. In fact, when Pakistan became independent in 1947 and there was vote in United Nations, Afghanistan did not recognize an independent Pakistan. That is on official record. Okay, moving on from there, that is a perspective of the people of Afghanistan. They do not recognize this border and they believe parts of Pakistan should be Afghanistan. Okay. The Afghan people also say to people of Pakistan, they said, yeah, you say you helped millions of Afghani people in your homes, but the billions of dollars in aid that came to exclusively for those people of to help the people of Afghanistan, you used it to strengthen your military, your nuclear, the nuclear program of Pakistan. Some of the aid was siphoned into it. They also say, the pride of Pakistan Air Force. This was the tip of the spear of Pakistan Air Force, the F-16. It was granted to Pakistan because of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. So the Afghan people say, yes, you may say that you helped all these people, but can you give an accountability that every single cent that was sent to Pakistan to aid the refugees of Afghanistan, was it actually sent on Afghani people, or was this what is siphoned away for your own national interests and your military interests? That's what they say. The next two are sore points which many people of Pakistan are not even aware of, but it is a fact. These millions of people who came to Pakistan in the 80s, we're now, this presentation is 2023, Pakistan never provided them a path to nationality or any sort of residency or anything like that. It's always been on an ad hoc temporary basis. Repeated governments of the past never concentrated on this issue. Imran Khan's government took some baby steps, but of course Imran Khan's government was ousted. So the people of Afghanistan say that. They said they have now been generations of these Afghans who've grown up in Pakistan, whether it is in Karachi or Peshawar or other parts of Pakistan, but they have no path to nationality. Millions of them do not. Okay, and as a result, they still are treated by the law enforcement agencies of Pakistan, it is true, in a subhuman manner. You can go through parts of Karachi and other cities where you see these minor Afghan children picking up garbage and stuff like that in the streets of Pakistan. There have been, organizations that have highlighted the treatment, the inhumane treatment of Afghan children in jails, etc., in Pakistan. This is true. Both of these are true. Many people in Pakistan are oblivious to it and not even aware of it. So I am talking to you from the West, and my family came to the West. They settled in, and think about this. You worked here. They provided you a path to citizenship, to provided basic rights, etc. Pakistan has not done that to millions of Afghanistan. That is their complaint. Then we switch gears and now we look at why do the Taliban hate Pakistanis. It is a fact that the Pakistani military aided the establishment and strengthened Taliban. Maybe not from the beginning, but they did because they saw an opportunity and they aided them. When 9/11 happened, the dictator of Pakistan, President Pervez Musharraf, overnight changed the policy of Pakistan towards Afghanistan and towards Taliban because of the policy of George Bush government and the war on terror. As a result, what you see nothing epitomizes that than this picture. What you see in this picture is Mullah Baradar, who is today a high-ranking government minister of Afghanistan. Pakistan picked him up on the streets, like a common thug. And this is the picture. This is what Pakistan did at the behest of the US war on terror. So there's a lot of resentment. Again, common people of Pakistan are not aware of that. We overnight changed the policy on Afghanistan, and the same Taliban that we had supported days ago, flipped and started arresting them, deported them, or many of them were killed in US raids, which we're going to get to, from Pakistan. And many of those drone attacks, and in Pakistan gave air bases, or at least a air base or a couple of air bases, to the United States to actually conduct air operations into Afghanistan. The drone attacks that happened in Afghanistan, by the way, that just, there was a recent one after Imran Khan's government was ousted. It is impossible to conduct a drone operation on Afghanistan without Pakistani soil. That's an impossibility. So this, you see it as a turning of the Taliban point of view against Pakistan. Yes, it is true. Imran Khan's government went, and this guy right here, he was in charge, the last chief of army staff of Pakistan, General Qamar Bajwa, and Pakistan must have provided some kind of material aid for the United Nations to conduct that operation on Afghan soil. Because of terrorism and cross-terrorism activities, what Pakistan did is it tried to fence the border. And this guy, during his tenure, $532 million were spent on this fence. And this fence is pretty much useless because we have hordes of people attacking Pakistan. If there was accountability in Pakistani military, there would have been an investigation as to why this $532 million fence is ineffective. That question should be asked. So this is one of the reasons why the Taliban hate Pakistan, because of overnight changing their policy, and because many people's families and relatives and their loved ones died because of US bombings and raid into Afghanistan, which used Pakistani soil. Let's be crystal clear about it. Okay, so why is Afghanistan important to Pakistan? Number one, this is an idea of strategic depth. So if you look at Pakistan vis-a-vis India, Pakistan is very narrow if it comes to, when you look at it from a military perspective within the context of an Indian invasion. So there has been this thinking, and is still there in think tanks in Pakistan from the beginning. They're saying in order to effectively defend Pakistan, we need depth, and Afghanistan provides that strategic depth to Pakistan. So they've been, think tanks and military thinkers and stuff who's always tried to exploit that and have some kind of a foothold in Afghanistan. So when the Taliban gained power in the 90s, Pakistani military and the ISI saw its opportunity for that concept of strategic depth. You can see that clearly, when it comes to, from a military point of view, talking from, an Indian invasion. Okay. Next, and there's some very good truth to this. There's a very narrow slither of land that separates Pakistan from Tajikistan and other Central Asian republics. Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and many of these countries are landlocked. They cannot trade with the outside world through sea. The only access is through Pakistan, the new port of Gwadar, the CPEC, the project in Pakistan. So the importance of this Wakhan border, or the Wakhan corridor rather, is very important, and it is true. There are a couple of things that are missing from a comprehensive strategy to deal with Afghanistan. 2 points. Number one, religious links. When you read, and I have read many of these think tanks and their recommendations, we don't have think tanks in Pakistan, but those who try to act like that or try to give a recommendation about comprehensive policy and stuff, they always put this thing as last. Religious links. People of Pakistan and Afghanistan are Muslims. This should have been the first and the fundamental thing that we should grow on. Okay, that's saying, look, we are both Muslims. Let's now deal with our problems. However, this link is always either omitted or subjugated to a very tertiary level. That's not right. Next, cultural and ancestor links. Now, the intellectuals of Pakistan do talk about it. They do say, and it is true, that there are millions of Pashtuns in Pakistan, and there are many, and Pakistan has more Pashtuns than Afghanistan, and so there are cultural and ancestral links. But in my opinion, these things should be reversed. If we forge religious alliance with the people of Afghanistan because we're Muslims, and we also use the cultural and ancestral links, which are true, then the benefits of strategic depth and the Wakhan corridor, the trade, the millions and billions of trade which can flow into Pakistan, you know, because of the access Pakistan's, sea access can provide to the Central Asian republics and even to Afghanistan will flow automatically if we forge these alliances. But these 2 points need to become the focus of our policy. So, what is the solution to this stuff that's happening in Pakistan? So, there have been cross-border terrorism again. Pakistani security forces, whether they're military, paramilitary, police, etc., are suffering. People are being killed. What is the solution? There are many gung-ho people in Pakistan who talk about creating a buffer zone, and they continuously give the example of Turkey. They're saying Turkey suffers from terrorism across the border from Syria. So what Turkey has tried to do is they've tried to create a buffer zone, try to create and maintain this buffer zone so terrorism or cross-border terrorism into Turkey ends. And they're saying Pakistan should do the same thing. They should deploy Pakistan Air Force. They should bomb Afghanistan and all this kind of stuff. It is the stupidest idea ever because there's no military solution between of the problems facing Pakistan and Afghanistan. There's no military solution. I mean, history tells us that. You don't have to go very far into the history. America and NATO tried to have a military solution for Afghanistan, didn't happen, and it ended up in chaos. And their military was America and NATO had a way more powerful military than Pakistan, and and they had the economic might. As it stands right now in January 2023, Pakistani economy is in tatters. So military solution is not an option, cannot work. We need to have a comprehensive strategy to deal with Afghanistan. So what can be done? First of all, when Taliban came to power, Pakistan should have recognized the Taliban. They didn't, but it's still not late. Now, the terrorism that's happening in Pakistan is happening from TTP, the Taliban of Pakistan, and not the Taliban of Afghanistan. The Taliban of Afghanistan, or IEA, Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan, officially has no policy of terrorism inside Pakistan. Many people in Pakistan, they say, listen, that is just ridiculous. That is a lie. The Afghan Taliban and the Pakistani Taliban are the same people. That's actually not true. The Taliban government has no policy of terrorism inside Pakistan. Yes, things happen like the drone attack I talked about in 2022 couldn't have happened. The drone attack in Afghanistan could not have happened without using Pakistani air or a Pakistani base. I mean, you have to be stupid to think that US can attack Afghanistan without using at least the air corridor provided by Pakistan. You just have to be dumb and stupid to believe that. So Pakistan should never ever provide any aid to foreign powers, be it US or NATO or anybody, to bring harm to Afghanistan. That should just stop straight away. Fine, we didn't recognize Taliban. Moving on from there. Millions of Afghanis, Afghan people, Afghani is the currency, Afghan people who are in Pakistan should have a path to citizenship of some kind or residency, some kind of let me give you a pretty simple example, a green card in US or something, right? That gives them the legal ability to own property, do business, etc., etc., etc. At the end of the day, these are our Muslim brothers, and yes, we should promote Islamic ideology and bridge the gap between the people of Afghanistan and Pakistan by playing up and bigging up our common Islamic ideology and belief. The secular people, and I watch this a lot on Pakistani medias, I don't know why they're like, oh, the mullahs, this and that. We have a common religion with the people of Afghanistan. Before we plan a military, mission to actually carpet bomb the heck out of people in Afghanistan, stop. These are Muslims that you're bombing. Now, I firmly believe that if there are terrorists, like Taliban of Pakistan, who are basically pursuing terrorist activities in Pakistan, they should be responded to with military might. Absolutely, Pakistan Air Force and the military should be deployed and they should hunt them down and crush them. I believe that absolutely. But we should recognize the resentment that was, created in the people of Afghanistan because of US raids. We should learn our lessons that every time an innocent, person is killed or harmed, or the property harmed, or the animals are harmed, or the farm is damaged, it creates resentment. America learned this over almost 20 years. We should learn that. So military is, carpet bombing, creating buffer zones is not an option. Next, there is a genuine issue because families are split across the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. That is actually true. So there should be some kind of biometric ID card systems of families across the two borders for quick crossover. I've heard arguments that this is expensive, and Pakistan can't afford it. Pakistan cannot monitor the people who cross over, etc. But let me tell you this: the it's cheaper than the military solution. Let me just put it this way: it has to be some kind of solution found, and many countries across the world have this. They recognize that, look, there are people of the same ethnicity who live across the border, etc. Something has to be done, and in 2023, we can use technology, etc. One thing that Pakistan, and I hope Pakistan military is quite active in buying drones and stuff. So the border needs to be surveilled. I agree with that, because there's smuggling, there's terrorism, all these stuff is happening. The border needs to be surveilled effectively. And because of the terrain, because of the manpower and everything that it takes, the solution is to deploy drones, lots and lots of drones, and continuously and on a continuous and a perpetual basis monitor that border. I agree with that. Then we need to resolve Durand line issues. There's, people of Afghanistan, they say, all the way to Lahore, they claim that it belongs to Afghanistan. Get out of here. That's never going to happen. However, the border issues need to be resolved somehow. And that also includes the Wakhan border. It is in Pakistan's interest to have access, and China is building some roads to aid trade, etc. So it actually, let me put it this way: it's in the interest of both Pakistan and China to have that road built across the Wakhan border, and also the Durand line. These issues need to be resolved. Sit down and resolve these issues. Even when you sit down and talk about it, saying, okay, you know what? Let's talk about it. What can we do? And point number 4 and 5 here, number 4 and number 5 are kind of linked together. If we can somehow maintain people crossing over, and actually ensure a continuous flow of trade and things, that will solve a lot of problems. Then we should promote trade, education, and aid. So this is vital, because Afghanistan is a landlocked country. If people who are shipping aid to Afghanistan, the aid cannot get there. It has to either go through Iran or it has to go through Pakistan. Because of sanctions on Iran and it being a pariah state, the only option left is for it to travel through Pakistan. So, and whether it's aid or whether it's trade or whatever. So we should exploit that, and we should exploit that, and link it with the goodwill of the people of Afghanistan. We should do that. Next is education. I was actually astonished recently. I learned, the Taliban, they banned women from education and university level stuff. And I don't know if, I saw an interview of this girl from Pakistan, and she's actually studying in Afghanistan in a university. I'm like, what the heck? I mean, it should be the other way around. The Pakistan should open up its universities, and they are open for, for Afghan students to come and study in Pakistan. A lot of them go and study in India. At least it was true before the Taliban. Remember that all of these students and everybody who going to India to study, within 10 or 20 years, when they come back and now they're educated, so they're going to join the civil service or whatever, what sort of policy do we think that they're going to formulate vis-a-vis Pakistan? So these are some of the things that we should think about. And what I've noticed is a genuine disregard from the people of Pakistan in trying to understand why these feelings of the people of Afghanistan exist. A lot of these are based on misunderstandings. A lot of these are blown up by India and amplified. True, but a lot of these have genuine reasons too, and we should look at it from that perspective. And there's no solution but to have a comprehensive strategy to deal with Afghanistan, something that we have been unable to do since 1947. There have been some governments that made progress, and one of them was, again, a military dictatorship, of President Ayub Khan in the 60s. He tried to have a comprehensive strategy towards Afghanistan. The military is doing it because they believe in Afghanistan as the strategic depth concept for Pakistan. However, a civilian government, put our brightest minds together and let's come up with a strategy that we can deal with it, inshallah, and defeat this situation. But in my mind, the number one thing we should do is promote the Islamic ideology. Example of that is when the Grand Mufti of Pakistan, Mufti Taqi Usmani, Hafizahullah Ta'ala, went to Pakistan. Take a look at the footage. There's a video, and what I will do is I will it will be displayed right here in the corner. You will see, the what and how he was received in Afghanistan. So that means there is a lot of goodwill. So we need goodwill, and wherever we find it, in pockets, in sprinkles of dust, threads, we should exploit that and amplify it. If India can amplify hatred, we can amplify goodwill, inshallah. And may Allah Ta'ala, help us build these relationships based on Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.